Hey everybody, this is One-Eyed Willie. I had a few people request to make a video about what mods I've done to this track car. First of all, the biggest problem with C4, C5, C6 Corvette is between that steering wheel and that seat. And what I've learned is that a good driver can drive any car much faster than I can. If you really want to learn how to drive better, watch some videos from people who drive really well on YouTube, and you'll learn a lot about their lines, when they brake, when they accelerate, and how they're actually driving that track. And it should translate to better track times for you as well. The very first thing I did with this car when it was stock is I went to a 35mm sway bar from Van Steel. You can see here how instead of a stamped piece of sheet metal with rubber bushings, it's all bolted in. Really reduces your body roll. I also did the same thing on the back. This one I think is a 26mm. It's a little bit bigger than the the stock sway bar, and again, it just has a lot more rigid hookup than your stock sway bars would have. You also can see here on the rear that I changed the leaf spring. This is from Hyperco. This is their high performance street. I'm not sure what that means, but this one was the harder of the two that Hyperco makes. And I also added these longer 1/2 inch 13 bolts. I know the originals are 12, but these work fine. And they're 2 inches longer, which allows me to drop the back end about 1.5 inches from the stock setup. Now when I did change the rear leaf, even with the Bilstein shocks that were brand new, the back end would jump and bounce a lot. So I added these QA1 adjustable shocks on the rear. They're maxed out to keep it from bouncing so much. Last in the back, I replaced this here that sets your toe in and your toe out for the rear. This is again from Van Steel. Others do make them. The reason I went ahead and changed this was not because the stock one was deficient, but because the stock one, the outer toe rod ends had worn out. And so instead of just replacing both ends, I just went ahead and put this in instead. And I really, I can't tell any difference with this on. I don't think it really made that much of a difference at all. But I did also camber the back tires in. They're both set at about 1.5 to 1.7 over here negative. And you'll see that more when I set it down. Oh, last thing I did in the rear is I took all this out, the bat wing and everything, and I put in a 411 gear, which gives you about 11 to 12% more torque on the low end. It does mess up your speedometer, but hopefully you're not staring at a speedometer while you're driving anyway. But this made a huge difference in acceleration coming out of corners. Okay, on the front end, I put the adapter. I put this adapter on that you can put a C6 brake caliper and pads and 13.4 inch diameter rotors. I also added, these are Alden America coil springs. I'm not really impressed with them. One of them, the adjustment for the shock didn't even work when I got it. And they're only single adjustable, so you can't really adjust ride height too much. Besides the lack of ability of the driver, the biggest problem you're going to have with an LT1 is overheating. And I've burnt through 4 power steering pumps. I finally went ahead and had Turn 1 up in Saginaw, Michigan, build me one that was a stage 2 for racing. Then I removed the air conditioning and added this cooler for the power steering. And since then I haven't had any issues with the power steering pump going out or overheating on me. I also grounded out these two relays that run the two fans, your primary and your secondary fan, so that when I turn the ignition, the fans come on. So you can see here, as soon as I turn the key, both fans come on. I also removed every single shim for the camber adjustment, and even took out the one behind there and just moved the small one to the front so I would still have some caster. And that yielded me between negative 2.2 and negative 2.6 negative camber without having to buy any other parts. I also wrapped the cats with some heat shield just to help keep the heat away from the oil pan because they go right next to it. And then I even cut off the exhaust. Both of those are aimed straight down to the ground, and the reason is I just wanted it to sound cool, and since I go to tracks with it, I don't care how loud it is. I'll give you an example. And of course the most important upgrade was the tires. I went to 295/30/19s. These are Toyo Proxys RR slicks. You can see by how much rubber is pulled off the track, how hot these get. But these helped a lot, especially when I figured out I needed to inflate them to at least 30 pounds so that they would develop enough heat to really start sticking. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change the brake pads before the next track day, and then I'll get it set back down so you guys can see what it looks like when it's sitting on the ground. In case you're wondering, this is how I get it up and down. I've got this here, both spots. I lift it up. The whole side of the car comes up because it's not a Camaro that flexes. And I take one side down, and then I'll lower the next side. So that side is down as low as it'll go on the stands. Now over here, I'm gonna lower this one down and take the stands right out. Yes, I checked that leak. Okay, now we'll let this side down, hopefully slowly. See, that's why having a full framed car is nice. Okay. And now we can lower this side down all the way to the ground. Alright, so it's set down. Now you'll notice it doesn't look that low. For some reason, after I drive it a little bit, it seems to drop about another inch. Don't know why that is. But you can see with the suspension I've got, with all my weight, the car barely moves when I push on it. And I forgot to mention, I also took the headlights out and I just added this. That's called cardboard and duct tape. And I added the hood vents just to let some air in and hopefully extract some of the heat that's generated. So that's what she looks like when she's on the ground. Not sure you can really see that. That's 1.5. And that there is about 2.5 negative camber. So that's what it'll look like. So that's about it. That's what I've done to my car to help it perform on the track. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm not a professional driver. I can't even take the school because of my eyesight. So please leave comments, maybe what you've done that seemed to help, and good luck on the track. God bless. Have a good day.